Premna hi vichapradam Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyevacha Patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha namo mahavadanyaya Krishna prema pradayate Krishnaya Krishna chaitanya namne gaura tvise namaha. Jai Shri Gurudev. Well, yesterday was the disappearance day of Bhaladev Vidyabhusana, and we didn't get around to saying anything, so I think maybe it is good that we say something for ourselves, and for those who are listening, they may appreciate that. Actually, it's important that we try to remember these Vaishnavas, because otherwise, before you know it, it's just forgotten. The years pass, and so we have some duty to try to keep their memory alive as much as possible. And Bhaladev Vidyabhusana, we haven't heard so much about him, but what we have heard that is very significant, and he's made a valuable contribution to our line, and in particular he is always remembered because it's very striking. Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur included him in our Guru Parampara song. This song beginning Krishna Hoite Chaturmukha, which is listing all of the important acharyas in our line, in the Brahma Madhva Sampradaya, and then becomes the Gaudiya, like branches off into the Brahma Madhva Gaudiya Sampradaya when it comes to Mahaprabhu and all of Mahaprabhu's successors. And so this was composed by Srila Saraswati Thakur, and it's very significant that he included Srila Bhaladev Vidyabhusana, Jai Mahaprabhu, because Bhaladev Vidyabhusana, he did not receive initiation within the Gaudiya line. He did not. Everyone else who's mentioned there, maybe everyone else who's mentioned, I believe everyone else who's mentioned, they've received a direct Diksha connection in Mahaprabhu's line. But Bhaladev Vidyabhusana, he received Diksha, I believe, in the Madhva line, the Brahma Madhva Sampradaya, in the line of Madhva Acharya. However, Saraswati Thakur has included him there as an important acharya in Mahaprabhu's line. And someone may question, how can he do this? But the reason is that he, although he took initiation outside of the line, when he came in connection with the teachings of Mahaprabhu, in particular it was Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, who he came in connection with, then he could recognize this is something superior, this is a superior conception. And so he took shelter of Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur and the teachings of Mahaprabhu and his acharyas, and so he came to identify himself with the Gaudiya line, although he'd taken initiation elsewhere. So this is his example is very significant, showing how the line of our Guru Parampara, it's not, as Srila Srinu Maharaj says, it's not a body connection, it's not a physical connection, but it is based on, it is all to be considered on the basis of spiritual value and spiritual contribution. So it is not a Diksha Guru Parampara, but a Shiksha Guru Parampara, which acharyas have given the most important contribution in terms of the teachings. They will be considered, a significant acharya in the line. And whereas someone else who physically took initiation within the line, they have that physical connection, but they haven't given a significant contribution. Their own adherence to the teachings of the line have not been, so exemplary. Then they will not be considered. So, like Srila Sridhar Maharaj, he gives the example, say in a science class, then or history, say history of science, then the teacher may be, there will be some like timeline, show where you'll go through the development of different scientific theories, right? So that teacher is not going to go like in this like complete like step-by-step sequential way, right? From 1600 to 1650, these were the scientists who developed this theory. Then from 1650 to 1700 and 17, no, they're going to miss out tons of scientists. They're just going to talk about the ones who made some important contribution. They may make big jumps of 150 years, 100 years, where there wasn't anything of significance worth discussing. So in the same way, Saraswati Thakur has taken that approach when he is showing what is our line of gurus. And Bhaladev Vidyabhusana, he came to the line, of course, but he also made a very important contribution, which is that he gave a commentary on the Vedanta Sutra. We were discussing, we mentioned this the other day, the Vedanta Sutra, which was the penultimate Vedic text that Srila Vyasadeva wrote just before he came to write Srimad Bhagavatam. And this Vedanta Sutra, it has a very prestigious position amongst Vedic scholars, because it gives it gives pure spiritual advice. It doesn't, like, much of the Vedas, they're mixed with different worldly things, society, politics, finance, and, gaining various ends of this world. It's very mixed with different worldly things. But the Upanishads and also the Vedanta Sutra, they have a very prestigious position amongst scholars because they're dealing with purely spiritual topics. However, they're very abstract. The description sounds impersonal. They're descriptions of the absolute, and nothing is very clear there. So of course, the Mayavadis and personalists, they love this. And as we were discussing the other day, in Mahaprabhu, and so it's mentioned in some place in the scriptures that for a sampradaya to be recognized as being bona fide, then there's certain criteria that they have to meet. Like, you're going to be recognized as a political party, you have to have such and such, such and such. Or like if you're opening a school society, you have to have a president and a treasurer, and right, you have to fulfill all this criteria. Then you'll be recognized as official. So in the same way, it's mentioned somewhere for a sampradaya to be recognized as bona fide, then they have to meet certain criteria. And one of those is that they have to have a commentary on the Vedanta Sutra, this very important text. However, Mahaprabhu's line, although it appears within the line of Madhvacharya, it is its own line, and so it's called the Brahma Madhva Gaudiya Sampradaya. Do you understand what that means when I say that? Brahma Madhva, does that make sense to you? Or no? Brahma meaning it's beginning from Lord Brahma, and then Madhvacharya is the most prominent acharya in the line. So that's like but then Mahaprabhu, he made his own line, but it like branched off from the line of Madhvacharya. So our sampradaya is called the Brahma Madhva Gaudiya Sampradaya. We could just say the Gaudiya, or Mahaprabhu's line, but saying the Brahma Madhva, that gives it some authenticity. Like it's showing there's some lineage here, because there's 4 main Vaishnav Sampradayas. The Lord and each of them have like a patron, you could say. So like Lakshmi Devi has her line, and it's called the Sri Sampradaya. Those are the Ramanuja, you might have heard of. He's the most famous acharya in that line. Then the four Kumars, Chatusan, they're the head of another line. Then Lord Shiva, Rudra, he's the head of another line. And then Brahma is the head of this line of Madhvacharya. So it gives some authenticity to show that we are connected with a recognized lineage. So then we officially call our sampradaya the Brahma Madhva Gaudiya Sampradaya. So it appears in the line of Lord Brahma and Madhvacharya, but it has its own distinctness. It's the Gaudiya Sampradaya. But Mahaprabhu, because he had stated that the Srimad Bhagavatam was really, and it wasn't only what he said, it's mentioned also in the Puranas, in the Garuda Purana, there's a famous verse, Arto Yam Brahmasutranam Bharatartha Vinirnaya. It's mentioned that the Srimad Bhagavatam is like a natural commentary of the Vedanta Sutra. So because of that, Mahaprabhu and his followers, they considered it's not necessary to write a special commentary on the Vedanta Sutra, because it's already the Bhagavatam, although it's not explicitly stating this is a commentary on Vedanta Sutra, it automatically is. It's following on and it's elaborating on it. So therefore, it's significant because, Rup and Sanatana, and especially Jiva Goswami, they wrote so much. I mean, Jiva Goswami, he wrote something like 400,000 verses. The Srimad Bhagavatam is 18,000 verses. Think of how big the Bhagavatam is. And Jiva Goswami wrote 400,000 verses. It's not a joke. So it's not like they couldn't have written a commentary on Vedanta Sutra. They could have. They would have loved to do that. But they felt it's not necessary to do it. We already have Bhagavatam. So they could have written a special commentary in the line of Mahaprabhu's teachings, but they felt it's not necessary, and so they hadn't. So then, I'm just saying this to lead up to Bhaladev Vidyabhusana. So then what happened is, Bhaladev Vidyabhusana, he was a young man, maybe in his late 20s or something. He met Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur in Vrindavan, and Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, he was a famous, Gaudiya scholar. He wrote the most extraordinary commentaries on, Srimad Bhagavatam and any of the scriptures. So he was very famous, very highly respected, and so he was like living in Vrindavan. His last years, he was very old, and Bhaladev Vidyabhusana, as a young man, met with him, and he was overjoyed to hear from him, and he could recognize these are superior teachings to what I previously heard. So he took shelter of Vishwanath and studied under him and was with him for some time. And then at a certain point there was kind of like a crisis that took place in Jaipur. Not so far away, Jaipur. I mean, I haven't done it myself, but it's not so far as I understand. But anyway, so kind of crisis took place there. In the king's palace, there was always a system of worship that I think it was the Govindaji deity of Rupa Goswami, but it was a deity who is still worshipped there today. But it was a deity of Lord Krishna who was being worshipped in the palace, and there was also some form of Lord Vishnu who was worshipped. And the tradition had always been that first Krishna would be worshipped, Govinda, and then Vishnu. That was always the system, recognizing Krishna as superior and the origin of Vishnu. This was always the system there for a long time. And then at a certain point, there was some group of scholars who objected to this. And they said, no, Vishnu is supreme. No, we have to worship Vishnu first and then Krishna. Vishnu's in a higher position. We have to give him the first honor. And they were coming with all these things from the scriptures to back this up, and so there was this major like a crisis going on there. And so the Gaudiya Vaishnavas, they thought, we need to defend ourselves. We need to defend Mahaprabhu's teachings. And they thought, who better than Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur? He's the supreme scholar that we have in our line. So they sent someone to tell him what was going on and ask him, can you please come and defend this conception? But Vishwanath Chakravarti, he was, he was very old, 70s, 80s or something, and he wasn't feeling up for making the journey. And so he asked Bhaladev Vidyabhusana instead, can you go and can you take care of this? And so Bhaladev, he went there to Jaipur. And the people were surprised because he was young, maybe late 20s or early 30s, and they were a little doubtful at first, And of course they were disappointed. They were hoping to get Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. But anyway, they spoke with him and they could see, okay, he's got something, So then Bhaladev Vidyabhusana, he had some meeting with this other group, and he told him, I'm ready to debate with you. I will establish, that Krishna is supreme. And they said, well, you know what? We can't even debate with you because, who are you? What is your lineage? What is your line? You haven't fulfilled, you're supposed to be, the Gaudiya line, part of the Gaudiya line, but we can't even recognize you. First of all, you don't have your own commentary in the Vedanta Sutra. So, sorry, you're not eligible. And then Bhaladev, he said, okay, no problem, I'll just write one. They were like, what? Who is this kid? He was like, no problem, I'll write one. Just give me a few days, And he did it like maybe 1 week or 10 days or something. And it was the deity. This is the famous deity of Rupa Goswami that was originally in Vrindavan. And then because of the problems with the Muslims, that deity was taken for safety to Jaipur. So because he calls it the Govinda Bhashya, that's the name of his commentary. So he prayed to that Govinda ji deity, and that deity is so famous. Every morning thousands of people go for Mangalarti, pilgrims go from all over the world to see this deity. But anyway, so he prayed to that deity for his blessings, and then he wrote in some days. And I wanted to read because he has a few introductory verses to that commentary. And the first one, it's a pranam mantra to Krishna. And then the second one is a pranam to Jiva Goswami, which is very nice. And it's significant because Jiva Goswami, he's famous for being in the mood of a protector. Jiva Goswami, like a fighter of the line of Mahaprabhu. He has this fighting and protective spirit. And Bhaladev Vidyabhusana, he's seen as being in that line with Jiva also. And so and this scholarly mood, because normally for the cultivation of devotion, scholarship is not something that is given so much respect, right? It is a matter of the heart. But there are certain persons, they have this service of using scholarship in service to devotion, to show the dignity of devotion or to protect the dignity of devotion. And so Jiva Goswami, he had a role like that, and so did Bhaladev Vidyabhusana, great scholars, and they used that scholarship to establish the dignity of bhakti. So he wrote this very nice verse. This was the very second verse of his commentary, and it's to Jiva Goswami. I'll read that, it's here. Gurudev. There's a nice chapter here in this book where Gurudev talks about this pastime with Bhaladev Vidyabhusana. So this is the verse. Ya samkya pankena kutarka pamshuna vivarta gartena chalupta diditim shudam vyadat vak sudaya maheshwaram krishnam sajiva prabhu rasta me gati. So this verse, Gurudev is saying, when Guru Maharaj would explain this shloka, his mood and expression would change in such a way that seeing his face, we would think him to be just like Jiva Goswami. It was as if Jiva Goswami was actually sitting there in front of us. So this verse is very nice, and it's glorifying Jiva Goswami, how he's like dealing with all the different scholars. You know, there are many different scholarly groups who are anti the cause of devotion, and Jiva Goswami is fighting with all of them. So this verse is describing like different groups of scholars, and it gives this very nice these very nice analogies. Let me see. Does Gurudev explain the verse here? Yeah, here it is. I'm going to read this. I'll read this. When Bhaladev Vidyabhusana began writing the Govinda Bhashya, he first gave his obeisances to Krishna, then to Jiva Goswami. He considered Jiva Goswami to be our guru by giving protection from the Pandits. Bhaladev Vidyabhusana wrote the following Pranam Mantram. And then the verse which I read, he says it at the end as well. This is a very difficult shloka and hard for me to explain in English. What I am explaining is not a literal translation, but it gives the mood, the bhav. He says, I offer my full dandavats unto the lotus feet of Srila Jiva Goswami, who is the protector of our spiritual life. He rescues us from the whole illusory environment. He protects us from Sankhya philosophy. And this Sankhya, literally it means something like counting, and it refers to this very analytical approach of becoming free from material entanglement. And the idea is that they analyze all the different material elements, and like there's this this expression neti. So they like break everything down. Neti means like not that. So by like establishing what is material, and that this is not spiritual. So neti, it's not that. Then through this like process of elimination, then they come to the soul plane. And that can be used in a devotional way as well. But here, so you see in Bhagavad Gita, the second chapter, in our edition, it's called Sankhya Yoga, where there's some analysis of the nature of matter and spirit. So it's not necessarily atheistic, but here it's referring to the atheistic form. He protects us from Sankhya philosophy, which he compares to quicksand. When the jivas want to cross over the ocean of material existence, they first come across muddy quicksand. So you'll get, totally lost in this type of analysis. In the Nyaya Shastra, the endless, so this is another group of scholars, the endless dry arguments are likened to ashes, soot, and smoke blowing in the wind and covering the eyes, sky, and everything around, so we cannot see what is really in our front. Through the wind of bad arguments, everything is covered, and we cannot see Krishna. Next, he mentions Vivarta Gartenas. This is a third group. Vivartavad is Shankaracharya's philosophy of Nirvisheshvad. which is so this is impersonal conception, which is compared to a hole in the road. So you'll just, get lost. You just fall in this dark void, lose yourself. You want to go to Krishna but cannot. Why? Because in the road there are these kinds of disturbances. The first disturbance comes from Sankhya philosophy compared to mud. Not only can you not cross it, but it is the kind of mud like quicksand. Or what's that other name for it? There's another name for it, I think.
For quicksand?
Not swamp. No, maybe quicksand. I'm thinking maybe there's another. But anyway, you get the idea, right? You just get sucked in there and you're stuck. The next disturbance is kutarka, which means Nyaya Shastra, argument, which is compared to the blowing of soot and smoke. Still, you try to progress on your journey, but suddenly many large blind holes appear in the road. These holes are like Shankaracharya's Vivartavad. This is Mayavad, Vivartagartena Chalupta Diditim. The Mayavad philosophy is waiting for you in the road like a hole. If you fall into that hole, you may be lost forever. In that hole, you lose your body, nobody gives you any food or nourishment, nothing is there, and you die there. But Bhaladev Vidyabhusana says, Shudam Yadat Vaksudaya Maheshwaram. Jiva Goswami is the rescuer from that environment, and he has shown Sri Krishna in his exalted position. Jyotir Abhyantare Rupam Atulam Shama Sundaram. And this line which Gurudev is quoting, this is from another place somewhere in the scriptures, and it quoted many times by Gurudev and Srila Sridhar Maharaj. And it's very, very nice, saying that Jyoti is light, and so it's saying beyond. So these kind of in a broad sense, we can say all these persons are impersonalists. They don't believe in the personal existence of Godhead, right? So there's this very nice line, maybe it's in the Upanishad somewhere, and it's saying that beyond that light, there is the beautiful dark Lord. That, this Atulam, Shama Sundar, this Shama Sundar is a name for Krishna. Shama means black, so it means the beautiful black Lord. So you're saying, oh, there's no person there, there's just this white light. But it's saying beyond, if you get past that light, you'll find this beautiful dark Lord. This is just his effulgence. This light that you're seeing is just his effulgence. So Gurudev's quoting that very nicely here, and showing that's what Jiva Goswami did. He revealed that beautiful form of Krishna, and clearing these different groups of scholars. It's like they've obscured that beautiful form of Krishna, and Jiva Goswami has come and cleared those, that darkness, and revealed that beautiful, glory. So Bhaladev Vidyabhusana, he wrote that commentary, and he presented that, the Govinda Vasha, and then they had some kind of debate, and he defeated them, and everyone lived happily ever after. And I don't know if I've heard any other stories. Anyone else heard any other stories about Bhaladev Vidyabhusana? I'm trying to think. I think there's one or two others, but those are that's the main story Gurudev told. We heard a few times. So special special position in our sampradaya. In Param Guru Maharaj's famous verse in his prayers to Bhakti Vinod Thakur, he refers, there's that line, Jiva Dhyaya Birakshitam. Jiva and his group, they are the protectors of what Mahaprabhu came to give. And so Bhaladev Vidyabhusana, he's always considered to be a part of that, that group, standing for the dignity of Mahaprabhu's teachings. Okay, well, we were going to have a short program. We can stop there. Anything else? And Saturday is Panihati festival, Raghunath Das, the day that Raghunath Das Goswami received the mercy of Mahaprabhu. So it's a very special day for us because it's illustrating that without the mercy of Nityananda Prabhu you can't get anywhere. Because he was trying, Raghunath Das Goswami was trying for so long to leave his material entanglement and stay with Mahaprabhu, but he was unsuccessful until he came to understand, first he needed to get Nityananda Prabhu's grace. And so then he had that opportunity. Nityananda Prabhu was coming, and he met with him, and he organized this grand festival, and he, Dadi, especially Dadi and Chira, yogurt and this Chira. They always call it flat rice, but it's not. It's more like pre-cooked rice, or they call it chipped rice sometimes, but it's not. It's like a pre-cooked rice, you could say. You don't like it, huh? It's very nice. So he organized this festival, and he satisfied Nityananda Prabhu and his followers. And after that, then everything opened for him. So it's a very happy pastime to remember. Okay, I'm going to stop there. Jai Srila Bhaladev Vidyabhusana ki Jai. Somebody like to sing Hari Harayana Krishna? Hari Haraya Namah Krishna Yadavaya Namaha.
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 Yadavaya Madhavaya Keshavaya Namaha.
Yadavaya Madhavaya Keshavaya Namaha.
Gopal Govinda Ram Shri Madhusudana.
Gopal Govinda Ram Shri Madhusudana.
Giridhari Gopinata Madana Mohana.
Giridhari Gopinata Madana Mohana.
Shri Chaitanya Nityananda Shri Advaita Chandra.
Shri Chaitanya Nityananda Shri Advaita Chandra.
Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda.
Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda.
Jaya Rupa Sanatan Bhatta Raghunatha.
Jaya Rupa Sanatan Bhatta Raghunatha.
Shri Jiva Gopala Bhatta Dasa Raghunatha.
Shri Jiva Gopala Bhatta Dasa Raghunatha.
Echai Gosai Kori Charana Vandana.
Echai Gosai Kori Charana Vandana.
যাহা হইছে বিজ্ঞানা সাবিষ্ট পুরাণা হে চাই গোসাই যার মুই তদ দাসা Tansa bada pada denu mura panchagrasa Tajera charana sebi bhakta sane bhasa Janame moho e abhilasha He chai gosai jabe braje koilo basa Shri Shri Radha Krishna Nitya Leela Gorila Prakasha Anande bolo Hari Bhaja Vrindavana Shri Guru Vaishnava Pade Majaya Mana Shri Guru Vaishnava Pad Padma Kodiyasha Shri Guru Vaishnava Pad Padma Kodiyasha Hari Nam Sankirtan Kohe Narottama Dasa Hari Nam Sankirtan Kohe Narottama Dasa Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Hari Bol Hari Bol Gaura Hari Bol Nitai Gaura Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Gaura Hari Bol Jai Shri Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev Goswami Maharaj ki Jai Shri Rupanuga Guru Varga ki Jai Namacharya Shri Haridas Thakur ki Jai Saparshad Shima Mahaprabhu ki Jai Shri Navadip Dham ki Jai Shri Ganga Jamuna ki Jai Shri Bhakti Devi Vinda Devi Tulasi Devi ki Jai Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopi Shama Kun Radha Kun Giri Govardhan ki Jai Shri Chaitanya Saraswat Mat ki Jai Vishwavyapi Tadiya Shakamat ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki Jai Samagata Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki Jai Shri Hari Nam Sankirtan ki Jai Nitai Gaur Premanande. You okay there?